Hi everybody, welcome to Catherine Sews. Thanks so much for joining me today. So like a lot of people who sew and thrift, Halloween is very much on my mind this week. And so today I want to talk to you about 9 different ideas I have for Halloween costumes that are a combination of things that you would sew and or thrift. Some of them are just individual costumes, some are couples costumes, and some are group costumes. They're all based on current things that are happening in the world of entertainment. So if you're up for a sewing project and if you love Bridgerton, then you can absolutely make yourself a gown in that Regency style. And the important detail to make it look recognizably Bridgerton and Regency era is the empire waistline. So you can take any dress pattern that has the empire waist, such as this one, New Look 6749, and make it up in a pale color. Not so much of a printed fabric, but a solid color in a pale, like white, ivory, light pink, light blue, light yellow, something very soft and pretty, and a lightweight fabric, a gauzy lightweight fabric. Okay, you could have very sheer fabric on if you wanted to add a puff sleeve. So if you took a pattern like this one, you would use the whole bodice up to the empire waist, and then from that waistline, that very high raised waistline, you would just take a large rectangle of fabric and gather it into that waistband. So it's just going to hang straight up into that empire waist. That's going to give you that Regency look. Now you could even lower the neckline if you want as you're cutting it out, because the necklines were quite low, and add a little choker just with like a ribbon, a decorative button or a pin at the front there. Just a little choker like that would really add to the look. And you can get long gloves from the dollar store. Long white gloves would really polish it off. You could even add a little tiara. How cute would that be? Or even a feathered headpiece. You can buy feathers at craft stores like Michael's would have something like that for you. Your hair can be either up entirely or half up and half down. And the addition of that little headpiece, you're gonna be beautiful. If you've watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, then you will love her 50s Dior kind of style with a very fitted bodice and then the big skirt. If you're able to score from a thrift store a black satin dress, either strapless or with spaghetti straps, even if it doesn't have the big skirt, that's still going to be a good start for you. If it's strapless, you can easily add some straps, but then the key to get that look is the little satin bows at the bottom of each strap. So adding just some black satin ribbon tied into a bow, perfect. If the black satin dress you found is straight, you can easily add an overskirt, right? You could just buy probably 2 yards to 2 meters of black satin. You're just going to gather that up and add that into the waistband of the dress. That would give you that Dior look for the 1950s. Add a string or 2 of pearls, and then again, the dollar store long gloves, this time in black though. Add a curly brunette wig that you just clip back at the sides here so that it's kind of smooth but then puffs out with the curls. That would be a nice Mrs. Maisel hairstyle. The next 3 ideas came from watching this year's Met Gala, which happened in September this year. Everybody that's in fashion adores Anna Wintour. She's the editor-in-chief at Vogue magazine. She's also the director, I believe, of the Costume Institute at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, and she's just the most fabulous, the most chic. She's just divine. So if you wanted to become Anna Wintour for Halloween, you'll just find and thrift any slim-fitting floral dress that just hits just below the knees and something very feminine and patterned. Nothing black. She never wears black head to toe, but she does wear the black sunglasses all the time. Well, maybe not all the time, but even if she's inside, outside, doesn't matter. Black sunglasses are definitely key for the Anna Wintour look. And if you can find a wig with the center part, the bangs, and then that short, very precise bob, that'll be perfect. Other key things for the Anna Wintour look, she almost always wears a nude heel. Sometimes a slingback, sometimes just a sandal, and a statement necklace. She very rarely carries a bag, maybe a little clutch, but usually she's just carrying her phone and Starbucks. You could also, for part of your costume, carry a couple Vogue magazines just to sort of drive the point home of who you are. Also at the Met Gala this year, who knocked it out of the park? Billie Eilish. Oh my goodness, she was just over the top amazing. And so if you love Billie Eilish, or if you love old Hollywood, or if you love Marilyn Monroe, then you can hit them all with this costume. So to approximate Billie Eilish's look at the Met Gala, you're going to want to start by thrifting a strapless champagne or ivory kind of gown. That's such a good starting point. And it doesn't have to have the big puffy skirt. The biggest expense with this costume is going to be, you're going to have to buy like a whole roll of tulle or netting. So you'll want at least, I don't know, 10 yards, 10 meters at least, I would think. So you're going to take gobs and gobs of it and gather it in to a giant puffy skirt that you will wear as like the overskirt for the dress that you thrifted. You can make it longer at the back, so they're creating a bit of a train. Hers was like enormous, but of course you don't have to go quite as much. And then save a little bit of that tulle for that little shoulder wrap that gets tucked right into the center. Then all you need to do is add a Marilyn wig. She wore diamond bracelets, but you can do rhinestone bracelets and earrings. She did not have a necklace on. Your wig, your bracelets, and some earrings. You're red carpet ready as Billie Eilish as Marilyn Monroe. Okay, another outfit that stood out for me at the Met Gala, which I think is so great to copy for Halloween, is AOC's look. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, who I just think is awesome. So for that one, you're going to want to be thrifting a strapless white gown. If you just find a strapless gown, again, just straight, you're going to cut it off just below the knee. If you find a long one, just cut it off below the knee, a little bit longer toward the back, and then take a little bit of what you cut off to make that little shoulder piece again. And you can just make a straight band, but then it's going to tuck into the front as well. All right, then you're going to also need a couple meters of tulle, not as much as you would for Billie, but a couple meters of tulle or knitting, and you're going to gather that in, attach it to your bottom edge, which is now, remember, you're cutting off shorter at the front, longer at the back, so curving like that, with your netting attached to the bottom to give that mermaid shape. Perfect. Then you're going to take red paint and a paintbrush. You could cut this, if you have a Cricut, you could cut out the letters out of vinyl and stick it on. But you can just take red paint and a brush. Now, you might want to pencil it in first, but across the back of that, you're going to be writing Tax the Rich for your AOC look. She didn't have a lot in the way of accessories on. She just had her hair up in a tight bun and then hoop earrings, no necklace, no bracelets. Just let the dress speak for itself. One of the most popular shows on Netflix right now is Squid Game, and it's kind of horrible, right? I watched it with my husband and son, and it's so violent and crazy. I'm not recommending that you watch that show, but I think that the costumes are going to dominate this Halloween, and I think they're fairly easy to recreate. I think the easiest one to recreate is the guard in these hot pink jumpsuits. So if you have a pattern for a onesie, such as this Simplicity one or this one from McCall's, any pattern for a onesie that has a hood. So you'll make it up in a bright pink fleece with a black zipper. And onesies are pretty easy to make. That won't take you too long. If you want, you can add the pocket detailing, but you don't need to. I think it might be nice to add the belt loops, and definitely you're going to want to add a black belt, black shoes, and black gloves from the dollar store. Now, for the mask, I bought this mask at the dollar store for like $2. But I don't think I would really use it for the guard. I'm going to come back to this though. But I would kind of use this as a way to mold a mask for the guard. You can buy black mesh fabric. This is a fairly light one. I think this is actually screening for like window screens, but you can buy a heavier black mesh from the fabric store. And I don't think it would be very difficult to sculpt this, maybe dart it in, because it's obviously not going to fray. It's not difficult to just cut it, overlap to start creating that curved shape that you want. You would just sew straight down the middle of that overlap, trim your excess from both sides, and that seam is going to disappear. So you will just shape it. I would use this mask as a form to shape this over. Then comes the question of adding in the shape that's on the front. So the shapes in Squid Game are either circle, a triangle, or a square. And so I'm going to link below. I did catch a video of a DIYer where they use their Cricut to print off stencil for the shape. I think they did a circle, I can't remember, but you could print off any shape on your Cricut if you want to just create a stencil that way. Or you can create a stencil, you can just tape off, like using painter's tape or masking tape. You can just tape off the shape you want. Probably, if you're going to use tape, probably doing the square shape would be the easiest. Circle would be the hardest. Good. So once you get that stencil on there, you would want to put something underneath here to support it as you dab on white paint into that stenciled area. So your circle, your triangle, or your square. You can also take black twill tape and sew that right across the middle. They have a line going across the middle of that mask, and then the shape is above. If you want to do a couple's costume, then staying in the Squid Game theme, you can also make the costume for the players. So what you want to do for that is you're going to go and thrift a green tracksuit, not a hoodie, it's just a collar, but if all you can find is a hoodie, you can just cut off the hood, just leave that collar section. You want it to be in that teal green kind of color. If you can't find that color, then find a lighter shade that you could dye to that color, right? And if you're going to be dyeing the whole tracksuit, you probably want 2 or 3 packages of dye to get that good teal color. Good. You'll want a strip of white fleece so that it's soft and bendy. I think something like felt, it would be a little bit too stiff. A strip of white fleece would be probably 2 inches wide and long enough to go from your neck shoulder point to sort of a drop shoulder, like midway down through your bicep. You'll just sew it onto the tracksuit like that. The video I linked where they use the stencil, or they use the Cricut to make the stencil for the shape, I also really liked how they used the Cricut to print off the number of the players. They did a bang up job with that. If you don't have a Cricut, no problem though. While you're at the fabric store buying that little strip of fleece, also pick up some iron-on numbers. You should be able to find some numbers there. Or if you have an embroidery machine, that would be a great way to make your numbers as well. The main character is character 456. The very first character, who turns out to have a bigger role, I'm not going to give it away, but he is player 001, and the main female lead is number 067. So those would all be great numbers for if you're doing a couple's costume. Now, if you're doing a group costume, you might also want to make the costume for the front man in Squid Game. So for this, you're going to be going back to the thrift store and you're going to try to thrift a man's overcoat in a dark, like charcoal gray. Black if you have to, but charcoal gray would be ideal. You also will need to thrift a dark charcoal gray hoodie to wear under it to get his hood. Good. And you can either just sew that hood into the coat or just wear both together. That would be fine to just layer them. Now, if you can't get like an overcoat, then another thing you might be able to thrift or even purchase online if you wanted to is a shop coat. They do come in charcoal gray, but maybe you'll be able to thrift one in like a navy blue. I often see them, guys at work, in navy blue shop coats. And you could easily take a navy blue one and dye a charcoal dye on top of that to get that charcoal color. I think that would work. You might want to bleach the navy first and then put your charcoal dye. So that mask that the front man wears is like amazing, but tricky to duplicate unless you have a 3D printer. If you have a 3D printer, you can actually buy the digital file online at Etsy. I'll put a link to that below too. I think it was about $23. But I think that the mask I grabbed from the dollar store for $2, I think that would be fine for the front man. But I would fill in the holes with mesh. Put a patch of mesh behind and glue that on just to have a little bit more of his look. If you're not going for complete authenticity, you just want the look, I think this will be fine. For the fourth character that you can include in your group costume is the robot from the scene, the red light, green light scene. For that one, you would need an orange sleeveless dress or like a little jumper kind of thing. We call it 7778. I think would be a good place to start with that, but I think that kind of pattern is easy to come across and quick to make. And you would just wear that over a yellow t-shirt. Her shirt does have like a little Peter Pan collar, which you could totally duplicate, not without too much difficulty, but a yellow t-shirt under that would be still very recognizable as the robot. You want to have white knee socks, and she seems to have like a black little beanie cap, a very tight-fitting toque with the Squid Game symbol on there. So the Squid Game symbol like this. She also has just 2 little pigtails, and then you just want a scary vacant stare for the whole evening. Okay, so there are 9 ideas for your Halloween costume. I hope you have fun with that. Let me know in the comments below which is your favorite idea. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you know every time I upload a new video. Thanks so much, everybody. Happy Halloween. You take care. Bye.